Hey guys, so I wanted to kind of dive into what FDN is. If you've seen recently, I talked about passing my certification a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week, time moves a little bit fast. But I wanted to cover what exactly it is so you guys are aware of what I also now can provide you as clients, as potential clients, or just as someone who feels like they want to do some testing. So there are a lot of different tests. You can test anything from adrenal stress to food intolerances to for parasites, tons of different things. So it's kind of like, okay, what are your symptoms? What are we trying to figure out in terms of, are you feeling fatigued all the time? Are you unmotivated? Do you struggle with sleeping through the night or going to sleep? Or do you just have a lot of GI issues, a lot of bloating, constipation, diarrhea? A slew of those symptoms could be tied to a number of things. And so we need to figure out, where do we start? My favorite test that I usually recommend to clients who I've worked with and struggle to lose weight is the adrenal stress test. And I'm going to show you an example of one. I wish I had mine out somewhere. I did it a half a year ago, and I don't. But here's an example. Here is what it would look like. So you have 4 different cortisol readings. You have your cortisol sum, your DHEA, and then your cortisol DHEA ratio. And so on this, obviously you can see that this person is low on most of their readings, and then the only one that was within range was their afternoon reading. But that makes their sum really low, and then their DHEA, if I'm reading correctly upside down, yeah, it's 4.7, I think, something. It is within range. It's a little bit on the lower side, but their ratio, given how low their cortisol is too low. Ideally, it's 5 to 6. So this person's in exhaustion phase, and what that means is that their body's tired. All right, so you have your acute phase. It's kind of like that fight or flight response. We're being chased by a bear. We might actually feel great. Let's say you start dieting, and you're dieting pretty hardcore. You're into CrossFit. You start PRing, or you continue to PR. You feel really good in the gym, but then all of a sudden things start not going so well. And that's when you're entering more of the chronic phase. Maybe you're entering what we would call the compensatory phase. So you're not functioning as high as you would. Your body's struggling to create that same output of cortisol in order to sustain the stressors that you're putting yourself through. When it becomes too much, that's when you have exhaustion phase. And there are a couple different indications as to what puts you in what phase. But this person obviously has been in here for quite some time. I was in exhaustion phase as well, and so was a couple of my other clients that I've had tested. Now, with that said, we're all perhaps a little bit different symptom-wise. And so in comparison to clients I've had, I wasn't overly symptomatic. My symptoms were brain fog. Maybe I felt like I always needed a nap. I have a struggle with concentrating, but that could just be, life. And since I was like in 3rd grade. So let's see what else. A little bit of a lack of motivation, that kind of thing. But it could have just been, due to CrossFit and due to dieting at the time and due to life, even though a lot of my life stressors are very minor. I don't really have too many. In comparison to clients that I've had where they had low cortisol as well, and maybe even a little bit higher cortisol levels than me, but their DHEA was really low. And so mine was mid-range, theirs was tanked. And I think because of that, they felt a lot more symptomatic than I did. And then you also have the sex hormones. And so that's the other thing that we get tested. Don't mind my notes. This was actually for one of my tests, but We test the estradiol as well as the estriol. So it tells you the range. This person was in the range, I believe. And then we test the progesterone as well as the melatonin and the testosterone. The melatonin actually, obviously, some people supplement with melatonin in order to be able to sleep a little bit better. The interesting about melatonin is that it kind of gives an indication into gut health. So if people have lower melatonin levels, there's potentially something else going on in the gut. Let's see. So that's what the adrenal stress test tests. And then obviously we get on a call and then we'll go over all your results. There's a ton of education that goes along with it. The call is anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. There's no rush on my end. I want to make sure that you understand everything, that we've gone through everything. I will recommend supplements based on test results, and let's see what else. And then we talk about what FDN calls the DRESS protocol. And this is what's important on your end to implement in addition to the supplements. So DRESS is an acronym for diet, rest, exercise, stress, and sleep. I lied. Stress and supplementation. So the D, diet, obviously you don't necessarily want to be in a restricted diet. You want to be more of in a maintenance, because being in a diet is a stressor. You also want to focus on the quality of food that you're consuming, making sure you're not consuming intolerances to make your problem worse. And that you're also, limiting alcohol and sugar. The rest is sleep. So making sure you're getting adequate sleep and good quality sleep, not just hours in bed, but actually good quality sleep, and not supplemented sleep with Ambien or whatever else that the medication doesn't actually put you in a better quality of sleep. It just knocks you out. Exercise, making sure you're exercising, but not overly exercising. So exercise in our protocol is more about doing what you feel capable of doing. And a lot of the time, depending on how bad you are, the worse you are, the less likely you're probably going to want to exercise. And it also potentially can quicken the healing process as well. Stress. So reducing external stressors is big. Obviously you can't necessarily quit your job, but what you can do is figure out ways to lessen the impact of those stressors, how you deal with them internally, how you internalize those stressors. And then hidden stressors, so chronic inflammation, chronic injuries, any chemicals that you put in your body or on your body, drugs, alcohol, all that stuff is a stressor on our system. And then supplementation is what we'll go over. So that's my favorite test. I think that gives everyone a good idea of where to start in terms of, if they are feeling symptomatic, like I said before, being unmotivated, tired, there's a slew of different symptoms that you can experience. Like I also said, for me, it's not something I tell clients, go get tested, you should, because it's fun. And I usually reserve it until I feel like we're really struggling to reach our body composition goals. And in my mind, it doesn't make sense with where we are calorically. And so that's an indication that there's something else going on that we're fighting against. And fighting against a lack of hormones is not a fight you really want to do. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to probably do a couple more because I definitely want to talk about a couple of the other tests. And then the last test I really wanted to talk about, I'm getting in the mail. It should come here soon. I have some GI issues. I have some food intolerances, but it's just a food intolerance test. It's a finger prick test, so it's easy to do at home. And it tests against 93 different foods. And then it lets you know, okay, based on the outcome, here are the foods that you should avoid, and here are the foods you're okay with. And then the protocol is 90 days without any of the reactive foods, and then you can slowly bring back one at a time, starting with your least reactive, working your way up. And then as you do that, there might be a point in time where you react to one. And then if that's the case, you pull it back out and keep going along your journey of reintroducing foods. And then if you are reactive to a food, you can enter it back in your diet. But typically it's a 3 to 4 day cycle. So you're not eating it every day again. That's typically what helps us become intolerant to foods. And obviously, I think it's a big door for opportunity for people to dig a little bit deeper into the science of nutrition and their bodies and how they work and how to become more healthy and whatnot. So let me know if you guys have questions, and I'm here to help in however way I can. Have a good day.